This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Tuesday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, Sirius XM Channel 158. It's Gil Alexander. To my left, to your right, Danny Higgins.
Not Kelly Bidlin.
Temporarily in for Kelly Bidlin. Temporarily. How you doing, Danny? You good?
Doing pretty good, yeah.
And would you like to tell us why you're in this chair for the first segment?
Let's just say Kelly might have slept a little too long today.
Slept a little too long.
Yep.
Okay.
I didn't hear from him this morning, which sometimes happens, and then by 6:15, I was like, all right, what's going on? Send him a text.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Start calling his phone. Nothing.
You're worried that something terrible happened to him?
Yeah, I went downstairs just to see if he was doing hardware handicappers, and he wasn't down there.
No, I'm not doing that either.
Saw Rob Moreno and Johnny Campbell down there. I was like, you guys seen Kelly? They're like, nope. I go, all right, here we go.
Well, a much-deserved sleep for Kelly Bidlin, because Lord knows what a weekend he had with all of his guests from out of town.
Oh, yeah.
Was that this weekend? Oh, it was his dad this weekend.
His dad this weekend, yes.
Listen, I've done this show for 9+ years. The first year I missed one segment from oversleeping, 2017. Then if you remember last summer of 2025, I missed one morning, I missed 2 segments.
I do remember that.
If you do this enough, it will happen. That's not going to
Yeah.
stop us from giving him all kinds of guff this morning about it. Kelly Bidlin will be here when he gets here.
Yes.
Next
Be here
segment,
shortly.
the segment after that, we don't know. On the show today, Drew Dinsick will join us, as he always does, talk NBA playoffs with us. And, of course, the Kentucky Derby, the Run for the Roses on Saturday, the first Saturday in May. We'll get Drew's final takes on this. As we'll talk Derby all week. We're going to have Felica and Fornatal later this week to discuss the Kentucky Derby as well. But Drew's final take on this, where Renegade is the short shot right now. If he has any clay court tennis, we'll get that from Drew as well. Mark Borchard on baseball. Jake Hahn this hour on the Stanley Cup playoffs, which has just been awesome. We'll get his take. By the way, VGK, the Golden Knights.
Oh, what a game that was last night.
I mean, I don't know how that series is 2-2, but somehow it's 2-2. Golden Knights just get off the doormat last night when they looked like they're going to run away with that game, and then just gacked a lead and then made it happen in overtime. So 2-2 in that series. We'll talk to Jake about all series of the 6 that remain in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Paul Carr on the Champions League. We'll talk some NBA props later as well. We start with the NBA last night. I mean, there's so much to get to because we also have to bring up Mason Miller with Mark Borchard. Mason Miller finally had a terrible night last night. Felt like it was coming. Like the strikeout performances were starting to wane.
You did say it because the last outing he didn't even have a strikeout his last outing.
Yeah. And then last night, so we'll talk to Mark Borchard about that as well. NBA playoffs yesterday, and we will talk about this Rookie of the Year vote coming up as well, where Cooper Flagg wins Rookie of the Year over Con Kneppel in a vote that they say is the second closest that has existed since this point system came into play. But was it really that close when it came to first place votes? It was a wide gap. Anyway, I've never wanted to be wrong about something more in my life because I wanted Kelly to cash on Con Kneppel, but we'll get into that here momentarily as well. Last night, tripleheader, NBA, beginning with the Pistons and the Magic, Game 4 in Orlando. Orlando up 2-1. Pistons desperately trying to knot it up at 2 apiece. Nope. Orlando wins at Pistons, 7 turnovers, first 4 minutes of the game. They trailed 17-5, then 19-7. But then they went on a 20-5 run to go up 27-24, 27-26 ended the first quarter. Detroit built a 10-point lead, 40-30. But at 46-37, it's a game of runs, this NBA. Orlando, 17-6 run to close the half. 54-52 Magic. Detroit had 12 turnovers at the break. Wagner had 17. Cade had 16 for Detroit. Orlando had 19. Basically, the first half was weird because Orlando scored 19 points in the first 4 minutes and 33 seconds. They scored 15 points in the last 3:30. And in between that, they only had 20 points added in all of those 16 minutes in between. So it was a bookended half for the Magic where they scored a lot early, they scored a lot late, really barely scored in the middle, and somehow they still had the lead by a bucket at the break. Then we go to the third quarter, 56-56. Orlando goes on a 7-0 run. They'd go up 63-56. The lead would never get higher. They led by 6 at the end of the third quarter. The margin never got greater than 5 as the fourth quarter went along, but Detroit never took the lead. It was nip and tuck the whole way. And then at 78-76, by the way, that was when that Jamal Cain dunk happened over Jalen Duren. You see that?
No, I didn't miss that one.
Oh,
No.
my God. You would have thought, I mean, the thing is, it counts for 2 points. I'm not sure if you're aware about this about dunks.
Yeah.
But the announcers act like it counts for 20, but it was an outstanding jam by Jamal Cain, who just kept rising over Jalen Duren, who got posterized on it. Anyway, Detroit would tie it up at 85-85. This was this kind of NBA, the old NBA motto. The NBA, it's fantastic. Well, this is how this game ended. 85-85 with 5:24 left. The Pistons would score one more point the rest of the way until there were 3 seconds left. Fantastic. 85-85, the Pistons, as I said, it would be 89-86. Then Bane banked in a 3 to make it 92-86 with 1:16 left. It was a 94-88 final. Like I said, the Pistons just couldn't score the rest of the way. 5.5 minutes nearly of 1-point basketball from the Pistons until a cosmetic bucket with 3 seconds left. Bane, 22 in victory. Cunningham, 25, 9, and 6 in defeat. All you need to know, the Pistons had 18 block shots in this game, but they had 20 turnovers. And that's it. Magic have a 3-1 lead in that best-of-7 series. The 8-seed Magic over the 1-seed Pistons, where the Magic are trying to add to that very short list of 8 seeds that can beat 1 seed, that have beaten 1 seeds in a best-of-7. And the Magic have to be thinking to themselves, I mentioned this yesterday, well, if we win this, we get the winner of Cleveland and Toronto. Who's to say the Magic right now aren't greased to go to the Eastern Conference Finals? OKC, Game 2, they complete the sweep against Phoenix, led by as many as 11 in the first quarter. But Phoenix closed the first quarter on a 7-0 run. Phoenix actually had a 22-9 stretch there to take the lead by 7, 55-48, with under 5:30 left. And for a second there, you thought, well, maybe OKC's just going to punt on this game. Nope. In 5.5 minutes to close out the second quarter, they went on a 30-9 run. This team good. Up 8 at the half, led by as many as 15 in the third quarter. Pushed the lead to 16. Hovered right around the spread of 10.5-11, really for most of the fourth quarter, in a game that felt like it took forever. And then right at the end, they give up a layup, then take a shot clock violation. Total Plinko. Suns get the money on the spread, but the Thunder win, and the Thunder are off to the second round. The first team to complete their first round series with the sweep of the Suns. SGA with 31, Holmgren 24-12, Hartenstein 18-12. OKC shot 53.7% for the field, 50% from behind the arc. Kind of all you need to know there. So OKC is on its way, awaiting the winner of the Lakers and the Rockets. That series resumes tomorrow, I believe it is. And then the final one last night, Nuggets down 3-1 in their best-of-7 first-round series against the T-Wolves. The proverbial must-win situation, Nuggets on death's door. They led by as many as 10. The Nuggets did in the first quarter, led by 5 at the end of the frame. And Minnesota got it within 1 a few times in the second quarter, but Denver would build the lead to 9 at the half. And Jokic at halftime, 13, 6, and 10. 4 rebounds shy of a triple-double. T-Wolves had 14 turnovers by halftime. And then third quarter, all Denver. They led by as many as 25, led by 22 at the end of the third quarter. Minnesota actually, it was a 27-point lead at its height in the fourth quarter. Minnesota got it to within 10, 111-101 with 4:38 left, but that's as close as it would get. 125-113 Nuggets. Jokic finishes with the triple-double, 27, 12, and 16. Randall, 27, 9, and 6 in defeat for the T-Wolves team that was, of course, without DiVincenzo, who's done for the year with the Achilles, without Ant Edwards, who has the knee injury that's going to keep him out a couple weeks if Minnesota is to survive this series as it heads back to Game 6 in Minnesota. And that's the thing, when you're down 3-1, but you got games 5 and 7 at home like the Nuggets do, not quite as scary a situation as if you only had Game 6. So this T-Wolves home game in Game 6 becomes this very pressure-filled game for Minnesota, despite them being up 3-2. Nuggets shot 56.6% for the field. T-Wolves committed 25 turnovers. I mean, that's just all you need to know about that. And so it is 3-2 as they head back to Minnesota for Game 6 in what has been an entertaining series, just sullied by all the injuries. And then during the game last night, Naz Reid had to overcome a injury when he got stepped on. Just feels like the T-Wolves are one more injury away from just putting their palms up there and be like, what's going on here? How did we get these dealt these cards? But the T-Wolves, one game, so all they got to figure out how to win to advance over the Nuggets in this 3-6 series out west. Tonight, triple header in the National Basketball Association. Sixers-Celtics. Celtics look to close out the Sixers, but they're an 11.5-point home favorite in this ball game. Hawks-Knicks is a Game 5. That series knotted up at 2 apiece. Knicks back at home, though, at MSG. Knicks are a 6.5-point favorite, Game 5. And then the bookend 3-1, the Celtics being the first one to try to close out the Sixers. It's the Spurs Game 5 back in San Antonio tonight against the Blazers. Spurs are a massive 12.5-point favorite. So you have the Celtics at 11.5 points, Game 1. Spurs 12.5 points in the closeout. Game 5's at home. And then the Knicks-Hawks Game 5 in the middle of that. VSiN Sports, VSiN Killer Sports Bracket Challenge. It's not a bracket challenge. I keep saying that because of our NCAA. It's a VSiN Killer Sports Challenge. Again, 20 picks we have to make, ATS or total pre-flop. Jonathan Von Tobel with the big run yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
To get into second place. I see you, JVT. I see you in the rear view.
JVT coming.
Both he and I have 3 more picks to make here in this first round. This is a tough night to make them, though, with those big spreads with the Celtics and Spurs. Knicks, I don't know about. I may land on the Celtics. I hate myself because I wanted to play the Magic yesterday, and then because the contest line was 2.5 and not 3.5,
didn't do it.
I stayed away.
Yeah.
Won the Spurs over, but didn't play that one. Coming back, Rookie of the Year talk.
Get VSiN Pro for just $9.99 for your first 30 days and start betting with the edge serious bettors rely on every day. Access expert picks, real-time odds, and actionable insights across every major sport. Plus, get player prop projections powered by Opta AI, daily picks delivered straight to your inbox, and betting guides for every major sporting event. Visit VSiN.com/subscribe for just $9.99 and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, a network of sports betting analysts, writers, hosts, and handicappers, all here to help you become a more confident bettor. We broadcast live every day from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world, and from studios across the country, giving you insight from every angle of the action. Take VSiN with you wherever you go with the VSiN Watch app, or catch us on streaming platforms and regional sports networks. You can also listen live on SiriusXM Channel 158 and on radio stations nationwide. Check out VSiN.com as well for betting tools, exclusive betting splits, AI-powered player prop projections from Opta, pro picks for every game, plus in-depth betting guides and articles built to give you an edge. From sharp betting analysis and daily best bets to insider interviews and expert breakdowns, VSiN is your trusted source for everything happening in the world of sports betting. See everything we have to offer at VSiN.com and become part of the Sports Betting Network.
Coming up on the next edition of Follow the Money, right back at it with the playoffs. 3 games in the NHL, 3 games in the NBA, and how many series will end. Brad Powers on the big news with Texas Tech and what's going to happen with futures, and also Heisman talk, and Derek Stevens joins the show as well. Follow the Money 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, SiriusXM Channel 158. Check out the website for all the betting tools and analysis, or go ahead and get the VSiN Watch app.
Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Don't forget VSiN.com in full effect as always. That's how the internet works. It's always on. Kentucky Derby betting guide on there if you want to grab that. Greg Peterson's MLB best bets. Ed Cian's Tuesday Churchill Downs picks. And then coming up later today, Zach Cohen's NBA best bets, Wes Reynolds' Cadillac Championship preview, Jonathan Davis's best NHL plays and props. All of that at the website. Get full access through the Belmont Stakes for just $14.99. All of that for a bag of chips. VSiN.com/subscribe. Real quick, just wanted to follow up before we get to the Rookie of the Year talk here. Wanted to follow up on Mason Miller last night, my 40-1. Some people have him way longer. Against the Cubbies last night. Cubbies were trailing the Padres 9-5, I guess, going into the to the top of the ninth, and they still put Mason Miller in there.
I believe that's what it was. Yeah,
9-5, which is strange because they're up 4. They put Mason Miller in. Matt Shaw singles off him. Dansby Swanson singles off him. Pete Crow Armstrong singles off him. The bases are loaded. So that's those 3 hits right there alone. Prior to that, this entire season, he'd given up 3 hits. First 3 batters last night, he gives up 3 more hits.
Yep.
Then it's a fielder's choice, so a run scores. That is the first earned run on him all year long. Then a wild pitch, Dansby Swanson scores. That's the second earned run. So half of his hits and all of his earned runs on the season given up in this game. Then he got a ground out and a strikeout. Doesn't get credit for any save, though, obviously, because they were up 4 to begin the inning. So, again, 3 hits, half of his hits for the entire season given up last night to the Cubs. Both of his earned runs given up. You look at the full body of work, I mean, it's still amazing, right? 0.56 whip even after that, 17.59 Ks per 9 innings. But that's the first ding on his resume this year for Mason Miller. He is human after all. I believe the great human.
He dropped a little bit in the Cy Young as well, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
The great human league once said back in the day. The other thing, baseball. So it's April 28th. This just in, special numbers game investigations. April 28th. We got 3 days left in the season. Reds were done no favors last night by the Marlins. This was the real shot to the gut yesterday for us, the real stomach punch, if you will, as I mix metaphors. Marlins up on the Dodgers by 2 heading into the 9th, and of course the Dodgers win. They played 3 runs in the 9th, 2 outs, down a run. They get the hit they need from Kyle Tucker. Dodgers win. So this is it for let's show, if we can show April, March first, guys. So April, March, which is the market we're in, these are the 5 teams that are alive with 3 days left. Braves and Reds have 3 games left. Dodgers, Padres, and Yankees have 2 games left. Everybody that we're competing against won last night. The Reds need to go 3-0. They need the Braves to go 1-2. They need the Dodgers to go 1-1. If those things happen, we're in a dead heat. That's the scenario. As far as April is concerned, for those who bet the Circa-only April market, or the April-only Circa market, I should say, this one actually with tiebreakers, remember, doesn't dead heat. Fewest wins and run differential being tiebreakers 1 and 2. The Padres, 18-5 for the month of April exclusively. Braves, 17-7, have 1 more game to play. And the issue, though, is that the Padres, with that 1 fewer game thing, is actually not a detriment, because if they get a tie, they will end up winning this. So that's where that stands.
Padres is rolling to start this year.
Oh, just a great month of April.
Yeah.
Dodgers and Reds, the only 2 teams that are still alive in the April only as well. That's it for those. The big thing that happened last night in terms of the most content that we've sort of spent on it was, the NBA awards have been going on night by night. By the way, the rest of the awards this week are stuff we don't bet on, like Executive of the Year and Teammate of the Year. And by the way, Teammate of the Year, how nebulous is that?
Teammate.
I think this guy's a great teammate. Anyway, last night the Rookie of the Year was announced. And Cooper Flagg beats Con Kneppel. As NBA Communications tweet said, a global media panel of 100 voters selected the 2025-26 Kia NBA Rookie of the Year. The 26-point gap. Now remember, the system is first place gets 5 points, a second place vote gets 3 points, a third place vote gets 1 point. The 26-point gap between the top 2 finishers is the second smallest since the current voting format began in the 2002-2003 season, behind only a 15-point gap in 2021-22. Complete voting results here. And the voting results show that 26-point gap. Cooper Flagg ends up with 412 total points. Con Kneppel ends up with 388 total points. But if you look at the first place voting, Danny, it's really not that close. Cooper Flagg got 56. Con Kneppel got 44. By the way, some stooge, if I may call him or her that, because that person remains anonymous, voted VJ Edgecombe second. So Con Kneppel actually got robbed of one second-place vote on top of all the calamity that this whole thing is.
Who's that gave Con a third-place vote? Like, oh, my God.
By the way, Dylan Harper finishes fourth, Cedric Coward fifth for the Memphis Grizzlies. But I just want to say this. So if you've listened to this show closely for the last month or so, whenever we've discussed this, before it happened, and Kelly's had a whole bunch of Con Kneppel tickets. And like I said, this is not for me to be like, oh, my God, I nailed this. It's for me, it's like, I really wish I was wrong about this.
Yeah.
But I said before it happened, I was like, you know what? When Cooper Flagg was being sat down, I was like, all it's going to take for him is it's going to come back, and if he has, and I literally said, if he has one 45-point game and a 50-point game, I just happened to say those two numbers, then the voting is going, then the market is going to shift, and in some voters' minds, that's going to be enough. He got I can't remember which one was first, but he literally had a 45-point game and a 51-point game.
I remember it was over like the weekend because we came in Monday and you brought it up again.
Right.
And then he had that, I think it was the 50-point game second, and we're like,
yes,
well, here it is.
Because when the first one happened, it didn't move. When the second one happened, it did.
Yes.
Exactly as I predicted would happen. And the other thing that then happened was, if you recall, the NBA extended the deadline for vote submission, which we pointed out as well. And I said out loud that week, I'm like, okay, because Luka and Cade Cunningham are appealing the 65-game minimum thing on their eligibility for AP players, right? Like the what do you call, not the All-America, but the
All
AP,
NBA,
All NBA teams, right? In addition to MVP, even though neither was going to win it, but they appealed that 65-game minimum. Remember, they both had just shy of that, but it was the old, special circumstances clause they wanted to appeal. And by the way, the NBA did, of course, break all of their rules that they had kept it for all the, for the entire year. And they're like, okay, you guys are fine. You guys are eligible anyway, right? But what that did was it extended the deadline for submission of these votes. And while that deadline was extended, we had the play-in games. And I said out loud, in addition to the whole Cooper Flagg 2 games of 45 and 50, Con Kneppel sucked in that first game in the play-in, right? I don't think he was all that great in the second either, but certainly in the first one he sucked. Meanwhile, right, what was the other one in the play-in that we were that was focused on? Denny Avdia had a great game for the Blazers. That didn't end up getting him most improved, but I did mention that about Kneppel as well. And so you wonder, between the Flagg 45-point game and the 51-point game, and Kneppel having that terrible first play-in game, was that enough to sway? We'll never know the answer to this, by the way, because no one's going to cop to this. But I believe, as predicted, that was enough to sway this vote. And let me just say this. While saying that, I am also saying how absolutely ridiculous that is. It's just so dumb that Con Kneppel, who had a historic NBA rookie season with 3-pointers, historic, not to mention his team got to play in itself, and we use that conveniently. Oh, this team didn't do this. Well, they did get to a play in, right? That is insane that Cooper Flagg won this. Again, 56-44. Here's the Kalshi graph, by the way. There was over 12 million in volume on this at Kalshi.
Oh my God.
If y'all think prediction markets aren't a thing, or in the words of the guy on the wire who was the city commissioner, you know what he said. He extends that word. But there it is. Like, that's the volume, over 12 million, and that's the action. Look at that right at the very end. Cooper Flagg's in the green there on the far right of that screen right there. So the last thing I want to say about this also is Drew Dinsick, who's coming on the show later. Drew also said, which I think adds to the two things I was talking about, both the Cooper Flagg 2 games and the play-in performance by Kneppel. Drew was on the show about a few weeks ago saying he wonders if some voters the way that they will vote is simply thinking about their future and thinking about how they will feel about their own vote. If Cooper Flagg, as we all predict, becomes a generational player, Con Kneppel becomes a very good player, if they will look back at their vote so many years ago for Rookie of the Year, and they will feel like, how could I have possibly voted for Con Kneppel to win that award when history so clearly states that Cooper Flagg is the better player? God, I don't want to be that guy. I'll vote for Cooper Flagg for that reason, which is not what this award is about. It's about the season performance. I just feel terrible for Kelly. I feel terrible for everybody who had Con Kneppel. I'm sure Drew will have something to say about this later as well. I believe Kelly will be here soon.
Yeah, he should be.
We'll see. It's a numbers game. Hockey next.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big. We go all night. And here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
Laptop or phone, couch or sportsbook, VSiN goes where you go. Wherever you watch VSiN, the experience stays seamless. Live shows, replays, and sports-specific clips all at your fingertips. VSiN Watch puts you in the driver's seat. Available in Roku, Samsung, Amazon, iOS, Android, app stores, or get it direct from the source at VSiN.com. Download VSiN Watch today on your favorite app store and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on the Numbers Game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander, Danny Higgins, in for Kelly Bidlin, at least for this hour.
Yeah.
At least for the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, he'll be here soon.
He'll be here soon. We get tweet speed of the book. John Balducci. Any market involving the opinions and votes of journalists to determine the winner is no longer bettable. In their eyes, 2 games is greater than 80 games. It lacks logic. Also, a dude died on the football field and lost comeback player of the year. John Balducci, I agree with every word of that. Every word. It's ridiculous. Roger Jones at Brocco wins. Guys, you have to try and get Pablo Torre on again. After mentioning him a few weeks ago, I've been amazed at the Pulitzer-type journalism, your words, he has been producing, specifically about the NFL collusion. You were all over Lamar, but general. Yeah, Pablo Torre is putting together a Hall of Fame stretch of journalism. We got to get him back on. Great dude also. Let's see. You see this one better at MGM wagered $375,000 on the T-Wolves in Game 5.
But he not only see that, he laddered it from like plus 11.5, I think, all the way up to 17.5.
That's correct. Wagered $375,000. Keep in mind they were trailing by 22 heading into the fourth. Oh boy. The sun was shining on him, or the universe was. Dunk Tank Sports. Thanks for the Alcaraz wrist tip. Interesting to hear you talk yesterday about going all over town for more of that. Is that different than pigging out because spread out? Doesn't matter. Kiosk app counter. Thanks. No, not all over town, Dunk Tank Sports. Outs on the internets, if you know what I mean. PPHs and such. Jesse Welch. Whilst I was attending to business yesterday, I missed Mason Miller's outing. Got to fill me in, Gilly. Well, we just did, Jesse. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. Ray in Texas. I feel violated with Khan not winning Rookie of the Year. 25-1 tickets on him. Emotional, degenerate idea coming here. Voters have to submit votes of their top 5 4 times throughout the year. Votes accumulate all season long, and voters banned must be shown. Oh, I lose the last part of his tweet, but basically he wants consequences for some of the voters, which I don't hate. James Fessler is an NBA hardo. Kelly's just incorporating load management into his condensed schedule, a true professional dedicated to his craft. Duke of the South, Mason Miller needs a nickname. I'll lead out with Miller time. Auburnist, the Auburnist. Almost got to hear your impression of Senator Clay Davis from The Wire. I'm here for it. Yes, I almost did. And then I said to myself, I don't think I can say that word. JT, Speed to Burn, 725. After the Rookie of the Year award, I will never bet another award market until I bet another award market, he says. That's probably how a lot of people feel. We got more tweets, but we got to talk some hockey here. Jake Hahn is going to join us, not for 1, but 2 segments. Jake, of course, can be found on Twitter at JHahn4. That's JHAHN4. He's co-host of The Point and the Fantasy Hockey Show on Sirius XM NHL. He joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Jake, good morning, sir.
I'm good, doing great, guys. I love that last tweet that you just mentioned. I'll never bet this market until I bet this market again.
That's
I think
right.
We've all done that in some fashion, whether it's award markets or whatever it might be. I'm never betting this sport again after this horrible beat or this terrible call or whatever screwed you, and then you're right back within a week or so.
You know, the only one of those that I have somewhat adhered to is boxing. Because of the judging.
Okay.
Boxing, I have said, I am never doing this again. And then I think I broke that promise once, and then I was like, never again.
Never doing it again.
But once. Only one exception to that. So that's the only one I've been able to hold steadfast to. Other than that, yeah. That's
Judge sports are tricky, Gil. The only one I ever really dip my toe into would be the UFC. Now, I'm not a huge UFC bettor, but if I'm watching the fights on a Saturday night, I might get down on a fight or two. And then when it goes to the judges' decisions and you think, okay, I feel like my guy won and then he didn't win. So anytime you're getting involved in those judge sports, I'm with you on that. It could be a little tricky. I much prefer hockey. If you have 4 goals to the other team's 3 goals, you win your bet. It's pretty simple when it comes to hockey.
You just look at the scoreboard that's been available to you the whole time, right?
That's
what the other tweeter was saying about the voting. With judging in boxing also, if I got to see the judges' cards right throughout, then that's a different experience than just being surprised by it at the end, obviously. All right, you mentioned hockey. Let's talk hockey because the Stanley Cup playoffs have been awesome. Let's start with, before we get into last night's game, because we got to talk about the Knights, but and the Penguins and the Flyers, and we'll get to tonight's games as well. But just let's talk about the 2 teams that are already through. the two best teams point-wise in each conference. Obviously, Colorado, best team in the NHL. They advance by the sweep. Carolina advances by sweep as well in the Eastern Conference. Do you feel, I'm sure you feel this way about Colorado, do you feel that both of those teams are the teams to beat in their respective conferences?
At the moment, I do. Certainly Colorado, like you said, Gil, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. They're the cream of the crop in the Western Conference. Now, Dallas and Minnesota, for what they've done in the Central, deserve a lot of respect, and I'm loving that series so far. 2-2, pivotal Game 5 for those teams today. But Colorado completes the sweep, and they also get the benefit of Minnesota winning on Saturday, another long, drag-em-out game. That series is guaranteed to at least go 6. I would expect 7 games in that one, maybe even some more overtimes. I don't know what's going to be left to Minnesota and Dallas by the time that series is done. It's going to be a quick turnaround to face a rested Avs team, and that will be the best team Colorado will have to face throughout the Western Conference side of the bracket. So they're going to have a major rest advantage when they face that team, whoever it's going to be, Dallas or Minnesota. And I think that's going to be a huge edge for the Avs in that second round series. And then they'll likely get an easier matchup in a conference final than what they would face in the second round matchup. So all of a sudden, the path is just wide open for the Avs, Gil. This is what you play the regular season for, to put yourself in this position. And I'm envisioning in a scenario where the Avs make the Cup final now, maybe only losing 2 or 3 games, the way that this thing is really shaking out for them now. I could be surprised by that, but it does look like just a totally clear path to the Colorado Avalanche. I see them still there on your board at plus money to win the Western Conference. I would say there might even be a little bit of value with that number. I don't like to bet prices like that with so many games left, but I think the Colorado Avalanche are going to be making the Stanley Cup final here. I know it's a very chalky take, but I just don't see who's going to challenge this team. And a banged up, tired Minnesota or Dallas squad might not be it in the second round.
Yeah, Avalanche plus 115 to win the West. The rare. Yeah, it's still a good bet, even at plus 115 this early in the Stanley Cup playoffs. All right, to last night. Let's start with the Golden Knights. Golden Knights in this series against the Mammoth, they win Game 1, come from behind in the third period in Game 1. They lose Games 2 and 3. Last night, you don't want to go down 3-1, obviously. And so the Golden Knights come out, and they're up 3-0, and it looks like, all right, they're going to coast. You and I were even talking a little bit about this off air. You're like, oh, great, a blowout. I could actually go to sleep. Then they give up 2 goals, I think, in the span of 29 seconds. That made it 3-2. And then the Mammoths score 2 more to start the third period. They take a 4-3 lead, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, my God, what is happening? Vegas does get the equalizer. We go to overtime, and then with 52 seconds left in the first overtime, Vegas Golden Knight lifer Shea Theodore puts the biscuit in the basket, and somehow the Golden Knights have this series knotted up at 2 games apiece. What do you think about this moving forward?
Well, I think last night was such a pivotal game for both teams. Utah, as much as they've got down 3-0 in that game, they did hold a lead in the third period. They're up 4-3. It looks like, wow, they're actually going to pull off this miraculous comeback. They look completely dead. I was watching this game, Gil, and I thought, oh, this is all Knights. Good for them. They stepped up. They won a road game. I can go to bed early, hold the phone. Utah comes back, and then you have the lead in the third, and you can't close it out. So that was the game I think Utah, they had to have once they had the lead in the third. Go up 3-1, put tons of pressure on Vegas to have to win 3 games in a row. That's your swing game right there. Vegas finds a way to win that overtime game any way possible. And now it's 2-2. Vegas gets home ice advantage back. And they are the team here with the players with the playoff pedigree. Utah hasn't been in these situations, and these series change as you get into games 5 and 6 and 7. They're called a little bit differently. They're played a little bit differently. Vegas can lean on some of that experience. So I think from what I saw last night, I do lean Vegas the rest of this way, guys. That doesn't mean this can't go 7 and, Utah might not have their moments still in this series. I think it's been very tight, very close, especially as you just described it, Gil. We've had lead swings and comebacks and very tight games through 4 between these teams. So I like Vegas to win this series and find a way to squeak it out. And a huge opportunity for them with Edmonton struggling in the other Pacific matchup to potentially get a series against the Anaheim Ducks in the second round. I think a huge opportunity for the Vegas Golden Knights here to maybe even avoid the Edmonton Oilers.
We'll get to the triple header in the NHL tonight here momentarily. The last thing about last night, though, the Penguins beat the Flyers. Now, the Flyers went up in this series 3-0. The Penguins have now won the last 2 games. They come up big in Philadelphia on Sunday. They win this one. Was it Sunday? Yeah, no, or Saturday. One of those 2 days. Anyway, they win on the weekend. They win last night 3-2. Now, we know this famously, right? So in basketball, it's never happened. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. in a best-of-7 series. In baseball, it's happened once, the 2004 Red Sox against the Yankees. In hockey, it's happened 4 times. 42 Leafs, 75 Isles, 2010 Flyers, 2014 Kings. Can the Penguins do it?
The 2010 Flyers, I remember that one real well, and that comeback and what they were able to do. And you mentioned the Kings as well, just a couple years after that. So yes, they can. They can. I'm still sticking with Philly in this series. I liked Philly going in, so I'm not betting on it. But I'm not surprised that Pittsburgh won a couple of games here. These teams are very close. I think a lot of times when you see a team up 3-0, they should be up 3-0, so they're going to close it out. I think all these games have been relatively tight. I'm not shocked Pittsburgh's punched back a little bit. I think Philly closes it out in 6 games, though.
All right, Sabres look to close out the Bruins tonight. Ducks look to close out the aforementioned Oilers. Game 5 with the Wild and Stars. Jake's takes on all of that next on A Numbers Game right here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
VSiN's player prop projection tool is now available for the NBA. Get projections for points, assists, rebounds, and more powered by Opta AI. On VSiN.com/NBA props, we line up our projections against the latest DraftKings odds so you can quickly spot mismatches and find value before the market adjusts. The NBA player prop projections tool is available exclusively to VSiN Pro subscribers. Check it out now at VSiN.com/NBA props and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
Your favorite VSiN shows and personalities are now available to download as podcasts. Catch every hour of our live broadcast with VSiN Best Bets, or find your go-to show and download it directly. Get instant reactions to last night's games, sharp analysis on today's biggest matchups, and everything in between. Whether you're commuting, working out, or just catching up, VSiN lets you take the action with you wherever and whenever you want. Search VSiN on your favorite podcast platform and get in on the action with VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander. That right there's Danny Higgins, everybody. If you're expecting Kelly Bidlin, we have confirmation. Kelly Bidlin will be here at the top of the hour.
He will be here at the top of the hour. Last one with you, Gil.
It's been fun, Danny. Once again, thank you for sitting in. We'll get to the bottom of Kelly's issues here coming up. Re-get tweets, beating the book. Rick Ollier, glad to have you join us today. Blade, this is calling Kelly, Blade Bidlin. If that is your real name. Side note, though, I can't be the only one who thought Blade went on a Cooper Flag-sized bender after losing out on the Con Rookie of the Year ticket, and that's why you didn't make it in. We all feel your pain. Jesse Welch, Kelly's running late? Great. Now I have to wait even longer for my AARP segment, which we got into yesterday. Enright, giving us the expression from The Wire. Yeah, I can't really say that on air, Enright. Tooth Boy. I don't think we've ever gotten a tweet from Tooth Boy Dave.
No.
He says, we can call the Drew Dinsick take on why voters didn't vote for Kneppel the Sam Bowie hypothesis. What he's referring to is that Sam Bowie was the pick in between Olajuwon and Jordan, except for that Sam Bowie didn't have a Rookie of the Year campaign that would have rivaled Jordan, so that's where the analogy sort of falls. And then Just Win Bets, baby, podcast folks who say, hey, Gil and Kelly, who voted for VJ Edgecombe second? Jonathan Von Tobel? He said, just kidding. I got to throw JVT under the bus there. He says, come on, man. In Kelly's defense, he's fixing his hair right now. Styling and profiling, baby. That could be the explanation. By the way, we bring Jake Hahn back in here before we get back into the triple header in hockey tonight and Jake's takes on this. Jake, I was hoping Kelly would get here so he could be present for this conversation, but we need clarification from a Canadian authority. Yesterday we got into, I don't know how we got into it, but some random discussion about what I pronounce as syrup. Kelly says it's syrup. So that's the first ruling we're going to need, how you pronounce it, syrup versus syrup. The other one is this notion of maple syrup versus table syrup. So first of all, how do you pronounce the word?
I believe the correct pronunciation is syrup. Syrup, as if like sir up would be the correct pronunciation here. Okay. Yes. So I'm glad to be the authority on all things Canadian here, Gil. Anything else you guys want to know about the maple syrup debate?
So what is the difference between maple and table, and what do you prefer?
Well, maple all the way. The real Canadian maple syrup, or parts of the U.S. Now, I haven't been able to sample all of those, but I grew up in a small town. Basically, half the small towns in Ontario, I feel like, claim that they're famous for their maple syrup. So maybe there's a bit of a debate between who's actually got the best syrup and who doesn't. But I grew up in a small town called Elmville, Ontario, that has a famous maple syrup festival every single year. And I'll tell you guys, it blows the table syrup that you're going to find at the store out of the water. It is night and day. So once you've had that, it's very hard to go back to that store bought. It's, oh man, I don't have any good quality stuff, and my only opportunity is to run to the store and grab the store bought stuff. You almost just don't even make pancakes that day. Just wait until you get the good stuff. So I've got some buddies that their whole family, lineage after lineage is making the stuff and selling it at the syrup festival every single year. So it's good stuff up here. I can guarantee you that.
So there it is. It's maple syrup, not table syrup. Because if you say that one, God, you not only know you have the worst of the product, and you mispronounce it as well. Why don't you go maple?
And you can put it on anything, guys. I'm not one of those Canadians, to be completely honest. Like I'll put it on anything breakfast related. Pancakes, waffles are the obvious items here, but you throw it on your bacon, you kind of put it on whatever's on the plate. But I'm not a big syrup on everything kind of guy. But there are people that will swear by it. Will put it on basically any food item.
I like it. Okay. Once you go maple, you never go maple, I believe is what I want to say. Okay. Let's talk about these three games tonight. Yeah. Bruins, Sabres. Sabres, longest playoff drought of any team in the NHL that obviously got busted this year. And I think they have national sentiment behind them. Was it 14 years, I believe, since 2011, if I'm not mistaken, since they had not made the Stanley Cup playoffs. Here they are. They're up 3-1 on the Bruins. Remember, this series started where the Sabres came from behind with like 4 goals in the final 8 minutes of game 1 to win that, to take a 1-0 lead. And then over the weekend in Game 4 at Boston, they basically won the game in the first 15 minutes. 4 goals, a 4-0 lead for the Sabres. So now they look to close out the Bruins in Game 5 tonight. They are a -160 favorite. What are you betting here?
It's amazing watching this Sabres team face a little bit of adversity in that first game, but a game I thought they played really well and they stuck with it. They found a way to come back. It was a raucous environment there. Then Boston punches back in game two. Sort of everything goes wrong for the Sabres. Goals are going in from center ice. They make the goalie change though, Gil, and this is what's key. Between games 2 and 3, they go from Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, one of the greatest names in the NHL, by the way. So I hate to see him lose his net, but Alex Lyon comes in and he's really stabilized things. And I said he doesn't have to beat Jeremy Swayman or be better than Swayman, but if he can match him or come close to that, the Sabres have the edge in every other facet of the game, and they're just dominating the Boston Bruins through 4 games so far. Full marks for being up 3-1. That game on Sunday in Boston was completely lopsided. So Charlie McAvoy, leader on the Boston Bruins, he spoke after the game how embarrassed they were by it. So I would expect a response and for them not to be embarrassed again. I just don't know if they have the parts to beat this Buffalo Sabres team right now. Certainly not 3 games. Maybe they find a way to grind one out here, guys, but I like Buffalo to get it done and close it out. And what a zoo it's going to be in Buffalo tonight if they do indeed close it out. I'm scared for the area if that is the case. So I like the Sabres to get it done here. I do like Jeremy Swayman over saves. It's a play I've been making basically all series long. I think Buffalo is going to dominate the shot clock in this hockey game, and look to Alex Tuck for props on the Buffalo side as well.
If you ask someone from Buffalo, sports fan from Buffalo right now, and you're like, all right, you only get to pick one. Bills, Super Bowl, Sabres, Stanley Cup. What do they go with? Bills probably, right?
I think in the moment, though, we always live in the moment. You actually asked me this, Gil, at one point when the Jays were in the World Series last year, and you're like, hey, would you trade it? But I think once you're in it, once you're in the moment, you go, no, I want the thing that's happening right now. Yeah. And I think if you ask most Sabres fans, they're hockey hungry right now. Guys are rollerblading around, dressed as Sabres players. It looks like a lot of fun there, and I'm very, very close to Buffalo. I could drive down there in just a couple of hours. So I'm looking to get to a playoff game at some point. Can't make it for tonight's, but I'm hoping they advance into the second round. I would love to go to a Buffalo Montreal or Buffalo Tampa game. That would be the potential second round matchup. So that I've got that eyed up for the second round here, guys.
Wild and Stars game 5 tonight. That's the second of the 3 games chronologically. Back in Dallas tonight, 2-2 knotted up, where the Stars are -124 favorites.
This has been an awesome series, guys, and I think the Avs are loving this right now. They're saying, okay, keep this thing going, go as long as you want, maybe a couple more double overtimes in this one. Massive win for Minnesota on Saturday. It felt like it was going to be another gut-wrenching playoff loss for the Minnesota Wild. They've accumulated a lot of them over the years, but they found a way to win. Matt Boldy with the nice deflection. So I think they're feeling a lot better now going into this game, certainly at 2-2. I got to stick with my original take here. I got to go with the Minnesota Wild. I have the series price on them as well. So we haven't really budged off of the numbers in this series. There hasn't been much of an adjustment. I would expect another very, very tight game tonight, possibly overtime. And if that's the case, I got to lean with the underdog here. You could certainly make a strong case for both sides. You're sort of splitting hairs, but I'm going to take what I think is slight value with the Minnesota Wild team. I'm still going to believe in.
All right, and then tonight it's the Ducks and the Oilers. The Oilers on death's door, down 3-1. They won the first game of this series. Yeah. They've dropped the last 3. Was it game 4 of this series where the puck just barely got over the line in overtime? That was this one, yeah.
So Sunday night. So people are still upset about that, arguing it. Look, the puck was in. I think it's one of those situations where, well, you can't clearly see it, right? Can we use common sense? But the call on the ice was goal. So I certainly think they got the call right there, Gil. But yeah, a lot of upset Oilers fans. And Oilers fans, I've known this doing the show over the years. No one gets upset like Oilers fans. They're a very angry bunch in Edmonton.
Really? Our old buddy Andy McNeil is from Edmonton. That tracks.
Oh.
We used to call him the angriest man in Canada. Andy McNeil.
There you go.
All right, so the Oilers do have, though, silver lining. They got games 5 and 7 on the home ice, including tonight's game 5, where they are -160 favorites. What do you got?
It's hard to see Edmonton going down in 5 in this series, guys. I've been very, very impressed by the Anaheim Ducks. I had a moment watching the Friday game, which would have been game 3, the first one in Anaheim, and I thought, oh boy, the Oilers might actually be in trouble. Anaheim's found their game. They're attacking, and the Oilers just don't seem to have much of an answer. They can't get a save. Multiple issues with this Oilers team right now, and then I think it reared its ugly head once again in game number 4. So games 3 and 4 sort of played out maybe how I expected them, or certainly 4 coming off of game 3. I feel like there's got to be some sort of adjustment here from Edmonton, and to lose on home ice in 5 to this Ducks team, this inexperienced Ducks team, I just don't see that happening. So I feel like Edmonton is going to win this one. Do they win the series? I think maybe that's where you're looking, because if you think they win this game, Gil, I know you always like to look at this angle. Do you play the series price? I think it could be worth a look, because I don't love minus 160 tonight. I still feel like the Oilers are in trouble in this series, but if I think they're going to win tonight, I would get a little bit of value. All they need to do is win 1 game in Anaheim, and that would be a potential game 6 scenario. So I would give a look to the series price in Edmonton. They've been faced some adversity before with this group, and they've handled it quite well.
Real quick before you go, 20 seconds. It's the only series we haven't touched on. It resumes tomorrow night. Maybe the most entertaining series of them all so far. Lightning Canadiens knotted up at 2 apiece. Who wins that series?
I'm going to take Montreal for the value here, guys. I still love the value on the Habs in this series.
I like it. Jake, always a pleasure, man. Great time of year. Really appreciate it.
Great
Thank you.